My name is D. Lanier Shook, and I'm here to steal your lunch. Every week, we take over a break room and give the quality ingredients there to our gourmet chefs and see what they can turn them into. This week, we find ourselves at Northside Auto Parts, purveyor of fine features for your car. The break room has been taken over, but our bouncer Squeaky is redirecting everyone to the parking lot where they will find lots of wonderful cuisine, courtesy of Steakouts Steakhouse on the go. Let's meet our chefs who have to do something with what those employees brought to work. Meet Chef Ulrich Holloway of Cleveland's Lake Shore Barbecue, where he has become famous for what he can do with a kebab. Try the cheesesteak kebab. Anaheim may be famous for Disney, but Chef Catherine Egan is cooking in Technicolor at the Lakeside Steakhouse. This food is so good it was inadvertently featured in a Hollywood investors conference call. Finally, from Honolulu, Hawaii, Chef Amy Sparks Meyer runs the American Fish House, where the name doesn't do justice to the Polynesian cuisine that she has won awards with on an island where seafood is their middle name. Now, if anyone's more nervous than the chefs, it's the judges who have to eat what they fix. Food writer Amber Bergon is best known for articles tracing up-and-coming chefs in real time. She knows how to pick a winner. The big screen may have a few bombs on it this year, but it's not the fault of costume designer Joey DeWitt, who won his 5th consecutive Oscar for design this past year. Finally, please welcome Chef Dick Rohn, whose chain of Silicon Valley and Space Coast kombucha bars were just sold to a donut company trying to become a coffee company for an eye-popping $250 million. Well, let's see what our staff found and doled out to the chefs. Just to remind you, the contestants are playing for $10,000 provided today by our sponsor, my hard science fiction space opera young adult Christian romance, Romeo and Juliet in Space. The level of media chatter this book has generated is noteworthy. Search Amazon.com for D. Lanier Shook and read a free sample. To win that 10 grand, the chefs will be judged on use of ingredients, taste of dish, plating of dish, originality, and keeping with our episode's theme. There are 3 courses, the first 2 of which each chef will compete for, but the third, dessert, will feature only the 2 highest scoring chefs. This episode's theme is Tea Party. Chef Holloway goes first and draws from the break room. Hollandaise sauce, breadsticks, cottage cheese, sweet tea. Interesting. He produces a soft cheese empanadilla with glazed breadcrumb crust and hollandaise sauce. So he pureed the cottage cheese into a ricotta-like consistency, strained it twice to reduce the moisture further, and rolled it in breadcrumbs, and finally poached it into an empanadilla, or a small Spanish hand pie. He reduced the sweet tea from a gallon to half a cup and used as a glaze. Then he poured the hollandaise sauce over it. Well, it looks like the judges really like what he used, but the taste and the plating leave a little to be desired. Next up, Chef Egan draws vanilla frosting, teardrop-shaped chocolate candies, moi, scrambled eggs, and ginger ale. She dices the eggs to create a small layer cake with alternating layers of chocolate and vanilla with reduced ginger ale whipped in to shake up texture and taste. Then she coats it with vanilla frosting drizzled with melted chocolate. Interesting. Well, that's a interesting score. Chef Sparks was fortunate to draw horseradish sauce, strawberry toaster pastries, everything bagels, and whipped cream. She produces bagel tea cakes stuffed with flavors. So she diced the bagel into small cubes, hollowed them out, and filled them with horseradish sauce, strawberry jam from the toaster pastry, and whipped cream. For a simple dish and quick preparation, this is a very tea party related dish, and that will make the judging on this very interesting. Alright, well, okay, taste is a bit low, and in fact, use is not, but that's not a bad score. But that was a rousing appetizer round, and now we come to the main course. Chef Holloway draws onion dip, onions, scrambled eggs, and herb tea. He produces herb-infused roasted onion salad between scrambled egg sliders. Now, the onion salad sounds a bit strong, but Chef Holiday diluted it by whipping the onion dip with herbal tea. Then he roasted some of the onions to provide a slightly different texture. Finally, he sliced the scrambled eggs and used them as slider buns to hold this together. In larger sizes, this would totally fall apart. But for a tea party, the serving size is quite manageable. Well, if our judges think so. Okay, wow, that's interesting. Okay, well, that's an impressive score. Let's see what Chef Egain has to offer. She drew corn syrup, mixed nuts, chocolate pudding, lemon lime soda. And she created small lemon-lime glazed nut rolls with lemony chocolate filling. To begin with, she chopped the mixed nuts finely, adding just enough syrup to provide a binder. She created a roll out of that and put enough chocolate pudding in the middle of it to provide a level of moisture and some chocolate flavor, but not enough to add a lot of sweetness. She took the roll and poached it enough to hold it together, then lightly glazed it with a reduction of lemon-lime soda. The resulting nut roll sounds like it would have been sweet, but they are so small and have so much nut and so little sweetness that while there is a level of sweetness, the taste effect is overall more nut and not as much sweet. Amber described it like a fig bar as opposed to a jelly donut. Both are sweet, but most fig bars, like the ubiquitous Fig Newton, are more crust than filling. It was tricky to balance so many sweets in a main course, but for a tea party, it may have worked out well. Or not. That's an interesting score. Well, let's see what Chef Sparks can do with what she has to work with. She gets to work with hollandaise sauce, canned biscuits, muffins, and pickle juice. Wow, that's one of the best combinations we've seen so far. Let's see what she does with it. Well, she turns out perhaps the most remarkable dish so far. This is an hollandaise sauce-filled toast sandwich with a piece of pickle-soaked muffin encased inside a biscuit slider. Okay, so she soaked a small piece of muffin in the pickle juice, then toasted it before molding a biscuit slider to put it inside of. Now this is what's called a toast sandwich. But Chef Sparks added her own twist to the dish by bringing the edge of the biscuit dough around to totally encase the toasted muffin patty. Once the toast sandwich was completed, she poured hollandaise sauce inside to create a very impressive dish. May I point out the use of the use of a toast sandwich, which sounds like a joke out of the Great Depression, but a piece of toast between two slices of bread is one of the most versatile dishes I've heard of. To begin with, you can use anything for toast, and what you can do with it is virtually infinite. But then you think about how handy it is to eat, especially for like small children. This is an amazing dish. So let's see what the judges thought. Well, that's not a bad score. Okay, so now we come to the hard part, where one of our judges has to leave. And we're going to add up their total scores so far to see who leaves. Chef Holloway, Chef Egan, and Chef Sparks. So, Chef Egan will be departing. I have a feeling we'll be seeing her again, though. and she will be receiving an entire set of my books, which you can find by searching for D. Linear Shook on Amazon.com. Now for the dessert and the entire pot of money. I get to take the leftovers home. Hee hee hee. Chef Holloway draws onion dip, chicken noodle soup, hamburger, and lemon lime soda. May I remind the audience, this is the dessert round. So he creates miniature dessert hamburger sliders with dessert onion dressing between poached noodle soup buns. To begin with, he reduced 20 ounces of lemon lime soda to a few ounces and glazed small chunks of hamburger with them, providing a very sticky, sweet covered piece of ground beef. Then he took another 20 ounces of soda and reduced it down to 1 ounce, adding it to the onion dip along with the ketchup from the original hamburger, creating a very sweet, diluted onion dip dressing. Finally, he chopped up the noodles and forced them into tiny buns, which were poached in the chicken noodle soup, creating a savory bun, which was glazed with a half ounce of soda, which had been reduced down from 20 ounces. All right, let's see what the judges think. Well, those are very good scores. Dylan, I thought he did very well with what he had to, uh, to each their own. That's a high bar to set, but let's see what Chef Sparks has to work with. Well, Chef Sparks is right at home, since she drew cinnamon, pork rinds, fried fish, and mandarin oranges. She produced a triple cinnamon glazed fish poached in pork rind fat and stuffed with a orange puree. To begin with, she cut a 3-inch by 3-inch piece of the fried fish and put it in a slurry of pork rind fat to fry, providing a richer flavor to the fish. Then she glazed it with a cinnamon mixed with pork rind fat mixture once, twice, and then a third time. Finally, she reduced a 12-ounce can of mandarin oranges to a few ounces of puree. She sliced open the fish and stuffed it inside. The result is a piece of fish with a crunchy cinnamon glaze that yields to a very sweet orange flavor rush inside. Now, while the 3-inch square inches are a lot for a tea, this dish reveals the tropical Polynesian background of Chef Sparks' cuisine. And that's it. Chef Sparks will walk away with their 10 grand, which I may remind you was sponsored by my young adult romance, Romeo and Juliet in Outer Space. A prequel to the book has just been published, and the entire 10-book hard sci-fi franchise will be out within the year in paperback and Kindle. So, at least check out the free preview on Amazon Kindle and come back to see whose lunch we steal next.